March 9th, 2011, I took my first helicopter ride. We were at North Andover Airport and North Andover Flying Academy, where they teach flying helicopters and flights for aerial views. The instructor, he's about to start the engine after doing a lot of instrument checks, and that will give us some time to warm up the engine and check, make sure everything's operating properly. So once the engine is warmed up, he engages the main rotor and it starts to spin, mostly right now at an idle speed. We're facing towards the runway, but there's a big snowbank in front of us, so we're going to go off to the left and go down to the end of the runway and take off on the runway instead of taking off vertically. We'll take off on the runway just simulating how a plane takes off, and that is we'll go down the length of the runway gaining speed, forward speed, and altitude. They do this so that all the vehicles at the airport, planes and helicopters, all do the same kind of pattern, and then there's no confusion about different crafts going different ways. He's giving me some last minute details as to how we'll fly. We'll both share the control. The main control in the center is the cyclic, and either of us can push it forward or left to right, which will make the aircraft go forward or bank in either left or right direction. So he's adding power right now, and the aircraft's getting lighter, and it starts to lift off the ground. He's controlling it, but I'm getting a feel for what it takes to maneuver the aircraft. So we're going towards the taxiway right now, and we'll be heading down to the end of runway 5, which is the runway that's being currently used. My instructor is talking to the tower to get clearance to get on the taxiway and then to go down to the runway for takeoff. Holding to get clearance from the tower to get on the active runway. Checking for traffic ourselves to make sure it's totally clear. This in-cabin video was shot with their camera, but we are talking to each other with the headsets. Now getting in position on the main runway. Just on the left, in the grassy area, there are 5 deer. I'm not sure we can see them on this video, but I think we just passed it. We're gaining altitude, and we'll go up to about 1,000 feet in the pattern and maintain forward velocity for about 60 to 80 knots. So you can see we gain altitude pretty quickly in the helicopter because you can apply enough power to go up vertically, of course. But we'll fly over the end of the runway, and we'll maintain our position in the traffic pattern. The traffic pattern in an airport like this is typically a rectangle that goes down the runway, and then you would turn left or right depending on how the traffic is set up, and you will make a short leg, and we'll do that making a left turn here. And the instructor is basically giving me control at this point. I'm going to be making my first turn, and it's kind of scary, but it's kind of fun too. still gaining altitude and getting near 1,000 feet. So this left turn will be on a short leg, and then we'll make another left turn and go parallel to the runway on what's called a downwind. We're making that turn now. You see the Merrimack River, and we're about 800 feet or so. The runway is off to our left in the airport. So we'll fly a little bit over this way. I think we'll go as far as the river, and then we'll make another left turn. A few wind gusts will actually blow the helicopter left and right. So it kind of it's a little bit unsettling, but you get used to it pretty quickly when you understand what's happening. It looks like the helicopter blades are going slow, but they're going much, much faster. They're being kind of stop motion here because of the camera, the way the camera takes its pictures. We'll make the left turn now into downwind and kind of parallel the river with the runway to the left of us. We can clearly see that. Great visibility from the cockpit in this helicopter. This is the R-22 Robinson helicopter, and they fly this from here for mostly training. We also have to watch here for other aircraft that might be in a similar pattern to us, but in a slightly different position. Of course, the tower in a controlled airport like this controls the traffic pretty well, and you always have to check yourself as an added safety procedure. Now the pilot at this point is controlling the amount of power to the rotor, and that really determines our altitude, where I'm controlling most of our turns left, right, forward motion. This was a day with some high overcast and a little windy, so you get some gusts, but it was pretty good flying weather all in all. It wasn't too bright, so I didn't wear my sunglasses on this trip, although the pilot did. Pilot instructor was a nice young fella. I believe he's from Scotland. He had somewhat of an accent, not very heavy, but some accent, and he had a lot of time flying in helicopters, this particular model and another one. So he was very good with instructing and making sure that I got a pretty full lesson in terms of how the helicopter works and what it does, how to fly it, how to maneuver it. We are talking on the radio all the time, and once in a while he'll talk to the tower. Practice in flying at altitude. It's interesting because this kind of helicopter, or rotocraft, uh, actually will be able to, believe it or not, fly and make an emergency landing without really damaging the helicopter. A really nice controlled landing if the engine fails. And what happens is, if the engine fails, you disconnect the rotor from the engine, obviously, using a clutch, and the fact that the helicopter is starting to descend will make or keep the rotor spinning, and that spinning gives you enough lift to glide the helicopter into a landing. And I've seen some video of that, and it's pretty amazing. You can glide the helicopter in and really have a fairly nice landing. So it's interesting, and one of the safety things that pilots learn how to do when they get taught how to fly these helicopters. We won't be doing that today. Now we've turned into the base leg of the pattern, and we'll be turning into downwind again shortly. Some of the major highways below us, and a lot of factories in this area. Modern factories as well as the old mills along the river. Now the forward speed, of course, can be stopped in the aircraft. You can actually stop and hover the aircraft, and that's what we'll do here. He'll come up to the numbers, which is the big number on the runway, and he'll stop the aircraft about 5 feet above the ground, and then turn it, and turning it to the right, he'll go down the taxiway. So this is considered basically putting it on the numbers. Fixed wing aircraft touch the wheels down on the numbers, and that's something that the pilots talk about. And he's hovering us about 4 or 5 feet, and going forward. We're coming in. We're just going to park the aircraft now where basically we took it out from, and he'll put it down. I'm just following along at this point, and as he touches down, he cuts the power, and we're on the ground. All right, that was it. That was a great trip, and very exciting. I thought it was fantastic. I really appreciate April sending me on this trip. It was lots of fun, and I'm glad I finally got to ride in a helicopter and control it. Just a dynamic ride. Awesome.